Hey friends, Frankie and Brad here in the kitchen cooking up some music for you today. Brad and I are going to talk today. This is going to be part two of bands with multiple lead guitar players. We did part one a week or so ago. We have so many we just couldn't put them into one episode. But Brad, kick us off with Wishbone Ash.
Wishbone Ash, a group I saw in the mid-70s. Andy Powell, who played a Flying V, and Ted Turner, who played, I believe, a Fender. But those two guys, their album Argus, A-R-G-U-S, was a huge seller. And I saw them when they were touring, promoting that album, and they literally played the whole album, plus some songs off their, I think, two other albums they put out. Andy Powell and Ted Turner both had unique styles, kind of like Buffalo Springfield. They both had a different enough sound where they didn't get muddied together. A lot of bands I see today do that. The guitar players have such a dirty or muddy sound that when they're playing together, you can't tell who's playing what.
Well, they did the combination of the Flying V is a very uniquely sounding guitar. It does not sound anything like a Les Paul or other humbuckers.
Yeah.
And then the Fender Strat, you know, the single coil and the V, they're not the first band that's done that.
Yeah.
But they did get recognition from some of the major magazines as being possibly the first band to play twin leads.
Yeah, they were very good at each of them doing a different lead and then coming right back in with a harmony lead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, something we didn't mention earlier, I read where the first harmony lead ever played was the Beatles' And Your Bird Can Sing. That was McCartney and Harrison both doing those dual harmony lines together. And you know, when I think about that, I think, golly, the guitar is a lot older than that. Why didn't anybody ever think of that before? Yeah. But yeah, Wishbone Ash, the album Argus, or any of their albums are worth listening to.
Yeah, they're not a household name. I don't think they ever got airplay.
No, I don't think they had a single,
college stations,
but a very good group.
We're going to move on to probably the best known band for playing twin leads, if you will, and that's Judas Priest. And K.K. Downing, Glenn Tipton, I don't think anybody does it no better than the Priest. They play twin leads in almost every song. The synchronization is perfect. They're never out of time, and it's fast picking. And again, the combination of the Flying V, Fender Strat.
And you have such a different sound.
Different sounds that you can distinguish each guitar.
Yes.
To me, the Priest just stand alone as being the first real heavy metal band that caught my eye, and to this day, they're among my favorite heavy metal bands.
Now, I think they're still touring, but I don't know if Glenn Tipton and KK are...
KK Downing left them, I believe, in 2011, and I could be wrong on that. And he comes back for guest appearances. Now, Glenn Tipton, although he's still with the band, he has, I want to say, Parkinson's disease or dementia or something that he only comes in the studios to play. But they no longer have either of the in fact, I think Rob Halford and the drummer are the only original people. But they're still out there, still playing and still doing well. And I've probably seen Judas Priest, and I'm not exaggerating, at least a dozen times. I probably saw them 6 times when I lived in Dallas. They played there so often, but they were an amazing twin lead band. Moving on, Eagles.
The Eagles, Glenn Fry, Don Felder, Joe Walsh. You know, I really like Don Felder's style. I
agree.
And it's a shame that they couldn't get along with Don Henley and
Glenn Fry.
and Glenn Fry. Those three were always button heads. But Don Felder, I really liked the way he played.
I think he was treated very poorly. You know, him and Glenn Fry couldn't get along, and they kicked him out of the band because of Glenn Fry. And Glenn Fry and Don Henley, I mean, they're up there with Neil Young for egos.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or at least
I'm sure,
from what we hear. I don't know them, but they have a reputation of not being overly nice to people. But
you know, and I'm sure when Joe Walsh joined, that he probably helped smooth some of that out. Because from what I can tell, Joe Walsh is not a confrontational type person.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that the Eagles probably lasted longer with Joe Walsh in the band than they probably would have.
They had Glenn Fry on guitar, Joe Walsh and Don Feldman all at one time in the Hotel California. And I really believe, and will always believe, that Joe Walsh took them a couple of notches up.
Oh, yeah.
They were a country rock band, and overnight they become a hard rock band. And I think I'll give Joe the nod for that. But again, we're going to move on to a more household name, Styx.
Styx. Tommy Shaw, James Young. I saw them back during that mid-'70s.
I saw them in that era. I saw Styx in Kansas together. Good show.
Oh, wow, that would be a good show.
That was a great show. In fact, Kansas was the headliner, and I don't know anybody that left that concert that didn't say Styx blowed them off the stage. And Styx was not a well-known. They had just come out with an album when I saw them, but they were incredible. Tommy Shaw and J.J. Young, James Young, were really good.
You know, a lot of people will hear a Styx song and go, "Oh, that's Tommy Shaw on guitar," and I have to tell them, no, Tommy did not play a Fender. That's a Fender.
Yeah.
And if you hear a whammy bar, that's James Young, not Tommy Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
But James Young was the better of the
I
two
agree.
lead guitar players.
He was yes, out there.
Tommy being a better singer and songwriter, but James Young was the main guitar player.
Yeah, he was the main guy. A band that I listened to growing up, don't know as much about them as you, is Thin Lizzy. Let's talk about Lizzy.
They were a powerhouse.
Great musicians.
Brian Robertson, Scott Gorham, those two guys that were on the Live and Dangerous double LP, great live album. A lot of people don't know that early Thin Lizzy members include Gary Moore, who I've always really liked, and John Sykes, who played on the White Snake, In the Heat of the Night, that album. He never toured with them, but he played on that album, probably wrote most of that album. But Thin Lizzy, they were, to me, they were a really good dual guitar band that knew how to incorporate leads into their harmonies. The later albums by them, the songwriting was not as good as the earlier, and I think that's why they kind of slowly drifted off. Of course, the singer died.
Yeah, he OD'd on, I think, heroin.
Heroin, yeah, but that early stuff with those two guys is
And Gary Moore went on to be a a legend.
A legend,
Literally.
yes.
Some of the best guitar players alive give a nod to Gary Moore.
Gary Moore was outstanding.
He was just amazing. I know a guy I'll just throw a nod to, new kid on the block, been around a few years, Tommy Johansson, singer, guitar player. But he said Gary Moore, was his idol from childhood till today. And he says everything he's done, he thanks Gary Moore for. Leonard Skinner.
Golly. You know, when I hear the name Leonard Skinner, I can't help but think of Ed King. He was only the guitar player on the song Incense and Peppermints, the Strawberry Alarm Clock.
I forgot about that.
And you know, and going from that
To Skinner.
to Sweet Home Alabama,
That's a change.
that is a long stretch right there.
Really, that shows versatility. That's true.
But you know, Ed King played on the first, I think, 2, maybe 3 albums, and then he left to pursue a more religious type of music. Leonard Skinner was not the same when he left until they picked up the guitar player Steve Gaines, who was another outstanding player, but unfortunately died in the plane crash that they had. I think the guitar player from Blackfoot is now touring with whatever is left of Leonard Skinner.
Gary Rossington and Alan Collins went on to form Rossington Collins Band. I think it was it
Rossington.
who was in the car wreck that got hurt?
Collins got
Collins
paralyzed.
got paralyzed, yeah. But all of those guitarists that did a stint with Leonard Skinner was just, if you just take any one of them, they were incredible.
They were incredible. Steve Gaines and Ed King, to me, were probably a little bit better than the other two, but to have the longevity that they had is pretty amazing.
And somebody who went to 38 Special with them.
Now that's the brother.
Johnny.
That's the brother of Johnny Van Zandt.
Yeah. Okay.
Now he took over when Ronnie got killed, and that's who.
Donnie, was it Donnie or what was his name?
Now, one of their brothers plays the guitar for 38 Special.
Okay.
So that's what that is.
Okay. Well, that ends part 2, guys. Anything you need to add, Brad?
I think
forget anything?
if we did, we'll put it on part 3.
There you go. Hey, look, as always, we appreciate your time. Let us know what you think. There's probably dozens of guitarists that we old men just don't know about. So some of you young guys out there, hey, tell us who your heavy hitters are. Tell us about some of these newer bands that maybe we need to start listening to. But as always, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Give us a couple of thumbs up, please. Consider subscribing to our site. We need you. Subscribe. Hit that button. And hey, as always, you have a great day.